Correct. Thank you. Ladies and gentlemen, respected dignitaries from Association of Indian Management Schools, top brass from ICBM School of Business Excellence, Hyderabad, Perul University, Gujarat, and today's speaker, Dr. Murthy Garu from Perul University, Gujarat, and my dear participants and my dear lovely students. A warm welcome to this session. I myself, Dr. Krishna, working as a Dean Conferences, Professor in Accounting and Finance, and International Link Coordinator at ICBM School of Business Excellence, one of the reputed business school in Hyderabad. With this note, I welcome to you this session. The session is all about inspiring young leaders session on the topic of Union Budget 2024 and industry prospects for MBA students. So with this, before start of this session, I would like to quote something. No poison can kill positive person, and no medicine can save negative person. With this positive note, I take the privilege to introduce Association of Indian Management School, which is part of this initiating this program. AIMS is a professional and non-profit networking body of Indian business schools, and with the many top institutions as its members. It is one of the largest networking organization in the world. AIMS was registered on 27th August 1988 under the Karnataka Societies Registration Act of 1960. This is all about AIMS. And now I would like to take opportunity and feel pleasure to introduce today's speaker, Dr. PZK Murthy from Perul University, Gujarat. Dr. PZK Murthy got his PhD from Krishnadevaraya University in the year 1980. After his PhD, he joined as a technical directorate of Institute of Chartered Accountants of India at a headquarters New Delhi in the year 1980. Over the period of 35 years, Dr. Murthy worked as a senior faculty at ICAI, ICFI, and ICSI, and he worked in corporate sector at a senior management level, including vice president at Market Creators Limited and senior vice president at Colsita Futuristic Services Limited. Dr. Murthy was also worked as a principal of C.Z. Patel College of Business and Management and member Senate of SP University, VB Nagar, Gujarat, India. He was also exam paper setter and examiner for various courses like MBA, MCOM, BBA, PGDBM, PGDFM, and PhD courses of various universities like MS University, Gujarat University, SP University, Bharatiya Vidya Bhavan, Gujarat Technological University, a few like this. So Dr. Murthy has written about 30 articles which are published in various journals of commerce and management, as he also part of publishing news articles in newspapers like Economics Times, Business Standards, and News Times, etc. Dr. Murthy was a member of a research project titled AI, IoT, and Digital Technologies for Future Sustainable Smart Cities, undertaken jointly by Perul University and University of Surrey, UK, which was completed in the year 2023 and got a grant of £80,000. Dr. Murthy is currently a member of research project titled Advancing the Green Hydrogen Projects through Electrolysis, undertaken by Perul University jointly with Linde Engineering India Private Limited, University of Surrey, UK, for the period of November 2023 to January 2025, which is also got a grant of £65,000. Apart from this, Dr. Murthy has held various positions in the engineering industry, including special invitee and panel member at the Royal Academy of Engineering annual conference in London, a speaker at Newton Baba Innovation Workshop in New Delhi, and a guest faculty member at the International Exchange Program on Globalization Trends. With this, a brief profile. Thank you, sir, for having this session. Like before handovering the session to the speaker, I would like to mention some points, rules to be followed by the participants. During the session, participants cannot unmute themselves. They may use a Zoom chat box for any questions, which will be answered during the Q&A session in the last 15 minutes. And feedback and attendance link will be shared in the chat box at the time of Q&A session. It is available only for 15 minutes. Certificate will be issued only those who submit the feedback form on time. So with this note, Muti sir, I would like to invite you to the session, and the forum is open for you.
Thank you so much, Dr. Krishna. Thank you so much. I hope I'm audible. Thank you so much. Very good afternoon to all participants, be the faculty members and the students. It is an immense pleasure to address you on this occasion, primarily on union budget and industry prospects, looking at the career prospects for MBAs. At the outset, I'm extremely grateful to the Association of Indian Management Schools for giving me the opportunity to share my few thoughts on this very vital subject. I always remember my alma mater. I was a product of Sri Venkateswara University, both during graduation and post-graduation. And I also did my PhD at SU Center. But by the time I was awarded, it became Sri Krishnadevara University. So it is my alma mater. But for them, I would not have progressed with this level. As I mentioned by Dr. Krishna, I was a faculty member at the Institute of Chartered Accountants of India during 1980 and 85. And during 80 and 84, I was at a head office. I had a great privilege of being trained and you can say counseled and guided by stalwarts, including late Professor T.S. Grewal, who is the author of accountancy book written along with M.S. Shukla. He was the director of Total Studies at that point of time, Dr. Kamala Gupta, and various stalwarts at the Institute. During my tenure over there, I had the occasion to listen to a stalwart, a lizard. That was Padma Vibhushan Nani Palkura. Being a faculty member at the head office at the national level institution, being in Delhi in particular, you always have access to participate in various symposiums, seminars, speeches organized by various institutions. And ICI, the first one, normally organized the budget speech by Nani Palkriwala. Much before the budget is announced, everybody eager to register himself or herself for listening to Nani Palkriwala. Being the faculty member over there, I am very lucky, I was extremely lucky to be in the front rows and listen to him personally, and what an enchanting personality he was. Enchanting personality. And to say a few words, in fact, he has written a book, We the People of India, a book every business entrepreneur, every professional must read. Nani Palkriwala, Nani basically used to tell in every budget speech about his family background. A wood which is stored for hundreds of years with a better quality, like alcohol. So wood which is stored for many years, for thousands of years, when you carve it, it will become like. So the name is derived from that. Palki is derived from that. Nani Palkriwala was a practicing advocate in Supreme Court. He specialized in constitutional matters and taxation matters. Of course, he fought in very important cases, and he played very important role in framing of the legal fraternity in India. Important cases, of course, Ketna Bharati case is extremely important case for us particularly because the governments at center or at the states try to take liberty with the law. And jurisprudence plays extremely important role. And Keshavananda Bharati case is one such case where it was held that government legislature cannot change the basic canons of the constitution. And the basic canons of constitution cannot be changed by any government. And there's always a temptation for the government to tinker with the constitution. You cannot do that. Basic structure cannot be done, cannot be changed. And this was the decision where Nani Palkiwala was the leader, argued for the case in the case. And of course, fundamental rights of minorities. Then he also fought for bank nationalization. Of course, he lost it because legislation was fought. Then Mandal case, and he argued for with the bureaucrats when the government of India at that point of time wanted to tax income received by no less than Mother Teresa Nobel Prize money when she received Nobel Prize in Peace. This is the greatness of Mani Palkawala. I'm extremely grateful. I'm inspired by him. The speeches on budget. Now, before we talk about budget, we must understand one thing. That is, there cannot be social justice. People who talk about too much about social justice without creation of prosperity, you cannot do it. Because if you don't create wealth, what is that you can distribute? You can distribute power. So wealth must be created. So wealth creation is very important. But having said that, but prosperity without social justice is meaningless. You are becoming prosperous, but you are not able to ensure there is social justice. If the millions of the people are suffering from hunger, then you are maybe prosperous country, but you are creating socialism. I think this statement is anonymous, and this must be understood very categorically whenever we analyze a budget. Because budget is the forecast or future plan of expenditure income of the government, be it central government or the state government. So when they plan expenditure and income of the state, be central government or state government, they must be conscious of two important things. There are two sides of the same coin. That means first, you must be able to create wealth. Every measure you propose in the budget must lead to creation of wealth. Having created the wealth, you must ensure that it is distributed and with very important eye on society. Right? That is extremely important. Now let us few words about India. Why? Because if I remember well, one of the very prominent governors of the Reserve Bank of India, I'm extremely proud about it, Dr. Reddy. He was the person who handled the Reserve Bank of India, Indian finances, when the entire world was passing through the great, financial crisis, global financial crisis, 2008-9. And he was the person who said that it is extremely important to understand the social fabric of the country, and we need to increase the rate of interest. So everybody was saying that no, rate of interest should not be increased, but Dr. Reddy said no, it should be increased. And after the crisis was over, worldwide, everybody really got inspired and appreciated Dr. Reddy for his foresight and forthrightness. That is the reason why, if you are a civil administrator or economist or public administrator, must understand India as a soul. What is the soul of India? Now, of course, Mark Twain says that is the birthplace of human speech, history, grandmother present, and everything very great about India. Even Jack Bernard Shaw, who is generally considered to be very satiric and a critic, he also said that India provides vision of the natural. So it gives you very enchanting understanding of India. But let us look at the Indian economy and social fabric. Now, India had a GDP of $3.5 trillion and fifth largest economy by nominal GDP and third largest economy by PPP model. That is what statistics all about. And gross domestic demand is thriving and service sector is increasing a lot. India is expected to become third largest economy by 2027. So the budget is a part of your long-term plan. If your long-term plan is India wants to become third largest country by largest economy by 2027, whatever you are doing bits and parcels in the process of that, are they leading to that or are they deviating from that? Any deviation which you do it going to hamper one side of the coin, that is the creation of the wealth. If you are not able to create the wealth, you cannot do this objective. Any program which you do. And creation of wealth is important as much as you also have to ensure objective. Now, most alarming factor is this. India's population is 1.3 billion and is expected to become 1.6 billion by 2035 and 1.7 billion by 2060. That means India today, the largest populated, most populated country in the world. We have surpassed China. And we continue to be number one almost up to 2060. That means our denominator population, which is very, very important critical factor, and become the largest population. What are some important facts which we need to connect, we must be able to relate to the employment? As per the government data itself, the unemployment is 15 to 20 years is 12.9% and 12.4%, that is 20 to 10%. Now, this is what the government data, then let us look at what actually the World Bank said. Now, very recently, this is very important for everyone, including MBAs. We as faculty members of MBA management schools or students of management must understand that the unemployment workforce, which is doubled in the years 65.7% of the unemployed educated, and we double 35.2% in 2000. So when in 2000 it was only 35.2%, 2022 it is 65.7%. Now it is a dichotomy. What is a dichotomy? On one hand, you want people to be educated. People must go to schools, colleges, and being educated. After being educated, you are unable to provide employment opportunities. So the unemployment rate for young people, which is higher education 18.4%, and university graduates, the unemployment 29.1%. That means higher the level of education, higher the unemployment. And it should not be. It should not be. It should be inversible. Because if the quality of education is good, higher educated, better must be the employment opportunities, and unemployment rate must be less. But what is happening in India past 15 years is that higher education, higher the unemployment. That means what? Opportunity of getting employed are becoming less and less with increased education. So what is the problem? The problem is quality of education. What is the kind of education we are offering? You are an MBA or you are a PGDM or you are a postgraduate. What kind of jobs were being assigned? You are getting a job, it's not only salary, but the profile of job you are getting. If the profile of the job is such, the work which was done by matriculate earlier is being now assigned to an MBA, that is a question mark. Then skill gap, expectations of skills by the industry, and the skills that are possessed by the candidates are widening a lot. They are increasing by leaps and bounds now. Job mismatch, of course, economic slowdown, and we do have, as Indians, we do have a security of job, which is very important concern, and we feel that security of job is more better in case of government jobs, and we normally prefer for government jobs. Why I said this is important because as a student and as a faculty member in management, we need to orient ourselves to develop the skills required by the industry. It is not mere information, it is not mere information, but it is the talent. I always say that those are the days have gone by where people are going to ask you that what is the information, because you can access the information on internet. www has done wonders. But what is important here is you need to have the requisite skills and attitude to do things on job. Are we giving them? I just give one biggest like pattern. As an accountant student of accountancy, for the last maybe more than 5 to 6 decades, more than that, we have been reading the same way of same books, same methodology. What is this methodology? You pass it there, you say X has brought in a capital of 1,000 rupees, and entry is the cash account debit to the capital account. Then put them in the ledger, then created a trial balance. From the trial balance, you create a balance sheet. Well, go to any company. You don't have to go to a large company. You don't have to go think about Tata Steel like that. Or you can think of small, medium scale companies which are located in small industrial states. Most of them, at least minimum, they have tally package. And big companies have ERP packages. Very large companies have ERP packages like SAP. Where is the question of your posting in this ledger time balance? I can ascertain what is my sales every 1 hour also. I can ascertain what is my profit every 1 hour. I can ascertain what is my net worth every 1 hour. I can create a balance sheet every 1 hour. So what is the knowledge which we are imparting in course of BCom or BBA plus MBA, BBA, become MCom, become MBA, all that, 3 + 2, 5 years in critical areas, they have become obsolete today. They are extremely obsolete today. Yes, you need to have the understanding of basic concepts, but you must know what industry is looking like. So if you look at the demand for these positions, it has dropped down not by 10%, but 95% drop. A company which has a turnover of 100 crores today hardly has 2 accountants, not more than that. About 50 years back, similar size company used to have 6 to 7 people working in the account sector. Right? So this is one of the things which we must understand, both as a faculty member or administrator of a management school and as a student of management school. What actually happening in industry with reference to HR, marketing, any specialization, any functional area, any specialization, things have changed very, very vastly. So that skill gap and job mismatch is one of the biggest problems. In fact, my presentation at the International Forum on Industry Academia collaboration, organized by the Royal Academy of Engineering, joint with FICCI and Government of India, was that why industry and academia must work together. Our vision must change, our perception must change. Not only of the students are the last bottom, but it is of administrators of schools and faculty members, textbook authors, and of course students. Now, I just talk about farm income because predominantly ours is agroeconomy and rural economy, and the more than 50% of the population are dependent on agriculture without any iota of doubt. And but can we be a lead? For example, I come from rural area. I have strong roots from my rural area. I hail from a village called Panipur in Panipur Taluk of Prakasam district, AP. Right? We have very strong roots even today. Now, it is extremely important for us to understand what is the potential of a rural economy, how I could be able to use the rural economy to have a gainful deployment. Okay. Now, here what is happening is if you take the decadal growth, crops wise, the paddy, wheat, all other things, giving only 1.9% growth. Livestock, 7.4% growth. Whereas fishing and aquaculture giving 8.9%. Here MBAs can do a lot. MBAs can do a lot. Now, well, of course, whenever we assess a budget, I have given the background for my talk. Credibility is very, very important, whether the numbers are reliable or not, and whether you are able to push economic growth, what is the possible impact on inflation and impact on exchange rate of rupee, and making agriculture sustainable, because if you don't make agriculture sustainable, you are going to create chaos in the entire Indian country. Because still 50% of population are dependent on agriculture, and India as a country is heavily dependent on agriculture. And what is how you are able to have the industry to grow? Of course, employment generation is a byproduct of that, and improving living in India, and focus on renewable energy, and what are the initiatives for checking against natural disasters like floods. These are the areas where there can be more, but I have tried to touch upon and of them. So look at the estimates, look at the budget in nutshell. Well, it will take more than ever to talk about only this slide itself, but look at the last 4 items. What is the revenue deficit? Revenue deficit is nothing but your profit and loss account, net profit or net loss. We're doing it for the country, so you don't say net profit, net loss, but what is the revenue, what is the expenditure, and whether expenditure is more than revenue. Yeah, normally you are growing chain. When you are growing chain, definitely you are growing economy, you will have a revenue deficit. But is the revenue deficit is manageable, or it is going beyond your management? That is 1.8%. And fiscal deficit is extremely important for us, because higher the fiscal deficit, higher will be inflation. Because the government, with a view to meet the fiscal deficit, what it will do is it will borrow from the market. Once you start borrowing from market, currency fluctuation in the country will increase without commensurating production of goods and services. When money circulation is not proportionate or sequential to the production of goods and services, the difference will lead to inflation. So that is the reason why there is an agreement between government and the Reserve Bank of India, and RBI try to manage its inflation within a span of 4% of GDP, 4% annually, and government of India try to reduce fiscal deficit to below 4%. But because of COVID-19 and because of social welfare measures taken, our fiscal deficit went beyond 5% in the past. Now we are just below the 5%. It is very well within the limits. Hope that we are able to manage that. But this rupee comes from, I don't spend much time on that. I draw your attention on 2 important things. Here, if you look at this, the pie chart, to understand one thing, the taxes which are 18% GST and corporate tax 17%, income tax, personal income tax is 19%, borrowings and other liabilities 27%. This is very critical, because government of India is borrowing to the tune of 27%, whatever 1 rupee it is getting. That means out of 1 rupee, 17 paisa is borrowing, 27 paisa is borrowing. That is very, 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 very critical. I draw your attention at this point of time, what happened in Pakistan, in Sri Lanka. Sri Lanka also borrowed very heavily, and Sri Lanka paid penalty for that. And Pakistan also borrowed heavily, and it has paid penalty for it. And Bangladesh problem is some extent political, some extent economical. It also went on borrowing because you are not able to sustain your expenditure and you borrow. So this is about Indian subcontinent. What happened in Indonesia? What happened in East Asian countries? So any country, see, where you and I as an individual, we borrow, market bank will say he has come, she has come for borrowing loan. But government of India says you ask Reserve Bank of India raise the loan, right? The borrowings is very so it is at 27%. Next slide is I draw your attention to important aspects of this. One is the capital outlay on defense and subsidy 16% and interest payments 19%. So every 1 rupee that government of India is spending, 19 paisa is towards interest payment. Why it is so? Because you are borrowing so much money, you have to pay interest. Without paying interest, you cannot sustain loan. So that is the reason why the interest rate is very high. So credibility of numbers. Whenever you look at the budget, you look at the evaluation of any company, for example. When I look at the annual report of any company, I don't look at for 1 year. I always look at for last 10 years. So why it is important to look at and look at what is their projections, what are their actuals, how they have been able to sustain. So when you look at the government of India, you must look at whether the estimates and actuals difference is positive or negative. I draw your attention here, non-tax revenue is positive because you are able to collect more revenue than what was projected. So it is a very positive measure. And recovery of loans, what was projected was less and what recovered is more. So it is a positive. When it comes to other receipts, we could only manage 54.3% against the projected projections. Now come back down, revenue deficit is positive. Because what happened is the revenue deficit is only 88.02% of the budgeted one as compared to the provisional actuals. Because here we are comparing provisional actuals of 2023-24 with the budget estimates of 23-24. I take my cursor over here. As a budget analyst, you must always look at what is the prudence of the government. Is it able to project something more accurately and able to spend accordingly, or it is overspending it, or it has estimated its income more aggressively and it is receiving less. As a principle, as a fundamental principle of accountancy, be conservative about expense, about the incomes, and be liberal about expenses when it comes to estimates. Then you are a more prudent business person because you do not know unless the bird in your hand, you cannot count it. But having spent about to spend it, you have spent it. You have to pay, right? So that way it is a very prudent management. Look at the fiscal deficit also. Fiscal deficit also, it is 92.55% of expectation. And so that way, I think we can definitely say the government budget estimates are reasonably dependable. They are more accurate. Come to the revenue expenditure side. What are the areas revenue expenditure has gone beyond its estimation? Look at general education. I take my cursor over here. You can see the budget estimates were 35,586 crores and revised estimates are 54,790 crores. And this is 153.77%. It is predominantly very high. Predominantly very high. Technical education also same 136.65 and all of services. So on an expenditure side, budget estimates gone wrong. That means the estimated expenditure at X level and it has gone up to X.5, X.3, like that 1.3X, 1.2X. I think this should not happen. Comes revenue expenditure, there are three areas they have gone spent more, maybe because of compulsions, rural development, rural employment, and energy. These are the areas we find that they spent more. But what is surprising is petroleum. They spent 281.53. Here, as a student of economics, as a student of marketing, or as a management guy, we must understand that the largest bill we pay for imports is on account of crude oil. And crude oil market is international market. It depends upon vagaries of the global situation, and government of India has no control over that. higher the prices, crude oil prices, higher will be your import bill, and it has an impact on your expenditure. That is because you give subsidy to the oil marketing companies like Indian Oil, Bharat Petroleum, right? HPCL. Come to the capital expenditure side. So capital expenditure has been made predominantly sound and more or less as per the estimation. The only area is other communication services, 113%, and general economic services is 112%. In nutshell, the crux of the budget is connected with inflation, because higher the inflation, higher will be the consumption expenditure, lower savings, and lower savings due to lower investment due to lower employment, lower business opportunities. So when I think about an MBA or a professional like engineer, we always say that you must always be competent enough, either to be in employment or to be on your own. Right? This is our so this is a deficit is percentage is a percentage of GDP, and fiscal deficit is 4.9%. Inflation to be 4.5%, and averaging about 6.7%. The monetary policy, Reserve Bank of India makes assessment of economy independently, different from Economic Survey of India. Economic Survey of India carried out by Ministry of Finance, Government of India, whereas the Monetary Policy Commission is an organ of the Reserve Bank of India, which is an independent body, and they make their own assessment. And according to that, they say that GDP growth rate for 2024-25 can be 7.2%. This is as per the second MPC, that is the Monetary Policy Committee meeting, which was held on 8th August 2024. 8th August is hardly about 15 days back. They also predicted retail inflation prediction will be 4.5%. So in fact, Mr. Das, the governor of Honorable Governor of the Bank of India, stated that our stance is neutral and we can't take this with the inflation, and we don't want to reduce rates of inflation, at least for the current quarter. And we will be very closely watching the core inflation in the country, and we can't afford that our masses are affected by high rate of inflation in case of mass consumption. And with the government borrowings, as I mentioned to you, government is borrowing heavily, but luckily, as compared to last year, this year borrowings will be less by about 2.5 lakh crores. Foreign trade, India is doing better than every year, is improving a lot, particularly under the present regime. The total goods imports have gone down and exports have increased. What are the employment skills? When I am talking about that, I am trying to analyze each provision of the budget, which is connected with the employment. First one, what they said, 1 month wage to new entrants in all formal sectors in 3 installments, up to 15,000. That means what? Maximum one can get 5,000 per month, and it is for 3 months, 15,000. Now, and it says that eligibility limit to receive the benefit is 2 salaries up to 1 lakh. I really don't understand. This provision can help MBAs at all. It cannot help graduates. But as I mentioned to you, remember the ILO report. The ILO report said that the unemployment rate is increasing among graduates and naturally among postgraduates also, as compared to the matriculates also. So higher the education, lower the output. That's what is happening. And this is not going to help MBAs as such. The second one is they are going to create EPFO, that is, this is the provision very tactical, very intelligent provision. Because what is happening was the job forecast, employment forecast created by Government of India and independent agencies, there are a lot of variance. Why? Because the unorganized sector was not becoming member of EPOs, Employment Provident Fund, and they are not detecting Provident Fund contribution, not giving contribution. So to enable that employment in another sector coming into the EPFO, this provision is made, and it may help to some extent to get into the unorganized sector jobs. This is extremely important. Employers focus key, like 3,000 rupees per month, doubtful about MBAs. Now, this is an important program provision for MBAs everywhere right now. There is skill program is for 20 lakh youth will be skilled over 5-year period. Now, skilling is required for MBAs also. Why? Because the technology is changing a lot. Now, the skilling program do not restrict to ITIs. It can be AI, backend technologies, digital technologies, right? So all these IT related technologies, there is large missions which are being undertaken by different agencies, including IITs. So it is important for an MBA, even MBA marketing, finance, HR, must undergo a technical related program, which is enhancing the skill in the area of IT. Because you cannot visualize any company today, which is a medium scale company, which does not adopt technology in a big way. So this can be used in the. Then, of course, loans up to 7.5 lakhs. This is another important thing for MBAs. Now, internship opportunities in top 500 companies to 1 crore youth in 5 years. It is important that MBA colleges, management colleges, BBA colleges must send students to get internship in good companies. See, if you do internship in a good company, do not do internship for sake of certificate. Do not send your students for sake of certificate. It's I want. It's like I'm a PhD, I cannot speak for 5 minutes. It's of no use at all. Absolutely nonsense. Internship must be done in a good company. For 3 reasons. Number one, first thing is our perception will change. Second thing is you are exposed to the latest skills, latest technologies. Third, you definitely learn things from others. That is what perception is very, very important. Vision is very, very important. So internship in good companies, this is one thing which can help a lot to MBA colleges and MBAs. Employability crisis is there, as I mentioned to you. 50% of the country population below age of 25, abundant, what you can say, demographic factor, very favorable. But the problem is only 1 in 4 management professionals, 1 in 5 engineers, and 1 in 10 graduates are employed. So this is where skill development is important. 2 areas, skill development programs announced by Government of India and internships announced by Government of India. I am sure Government of India will ensure that top 500 companies which are listed on the Bombay Stock Exchange and National Stock Exchange will provide internship to the MBAs along with technocrats. Now look at this one, finance services. The finance service sector has been doing extremely well and having a double-digit growth consistently for the last 10 years. Service sector has been doing extremely well. Tourism and travel are doing very well. But the problem that arises is this. As per the data provided by National Carrier Services portal, it is a government portal, it is an independent body. It says that 27.5 lakhs jobs were filled up. There were no takers for 18 lakh jobs. Total jobs were 46.85. And they could fill up 27.5 because 18 lakh jobs were not filled because the candidate, they could not find right candidates. So this is one area where actually management faculty as well as students must work on. I touch upon gradually manufacturing process, MSMEs. Now, when I talk about an MBA, I'm not just mentioning about only looking at your job, but also you can look at the entrepreneurial. So if you look at this budget, enormous amount of incentives are being created for MSMEs. MSME credit is given up to 20 Mudra loans, 20 lakhs. And every MBA, every technocrat, every pharmacy guy must think in terms of a startup. If I am not getting a suitable job, how can I be a meaningful startup? And with an MBA, I must think how I can collaborate, how can I coordinate and work with a technocrat, with a pharmacy guy, with a biotechnology guy. That is how we should be. Then what happens is you are forming a good team. Just merely starting having a million startups of no use. Again, you have a problem of big bad debts. Big bad debts. Your business idea is good, and a team must be good composite entrepreneurship team, right? That will do wonders. This is about the well career corridor development, credit guarantee scheme. Lot of push has been given in this budget for development of entrepreneurship, startups, and protecting MSMEs. I think for the first time, Modi government has done enormous focus on MSMEs. This is about that. E-commerce, export hubs, industrial parks. They are going to develop 12 industrial parks across the country and at the national industrial corridor development. The infrastructure side, as you know pretty well, that the present dispensation under the leadership of Narendra Modi has always been focusing upon creating world-class infrastructure. So infrastructure, 11 lakhs, 11,000, 11 crores, 3.4% of the GDP, and 1.5 lakh crores to states as long-term goals. This includes in Andhra Pradesh as well as Bihar. And water supply and sanitation is one of the key areas for that. Roads in rural areas, Pradhan Mantri Gram Sadak Yojana. Now you are an MBA, don't think why can't I take up a contract? Why can't I join a civil engineer and take up a contract? So entrepreneurial ideas like that. Innovation and research, Viksit Bharat third sector. Capital gains tax, a lot of discussion was there and capital gains tax and long-term capital gains rate is 12.5% and exemption limited increase to 1.6%. I come to abolish the angel tax. This is going to give a lot of push. You have a good startup and you are able to get the investment of angel investors. Earlier, angel investors worldwide, they were hesitant to come to India. Why? Because their incomes were taxed. Today, their incomes will not be taxed. So angel investments will come in a very big way and create multiple opportunities with startups. And please remember one thing, when there were placement sessions in IIMs, in some of the IIMs, some of the bright guys, they said they prefer to join a startup rather than established company. Why? Because they felt that you join a good startup, you have a challenging work and challenging opportunities and vertical. And you are now look at how Flipkart has risen, right? So you are able to identify good startup. Joining a good startup is a good thing. You are joining as a business partner, not more than anything. I think my time is coming. These are the tax regimes and understand as an MBA, we must understand sectoral focus of the government of India. There are 5 areas the government of India is giving a lot of focus. One of them is solar energy. Very big push has been given. Earlier it was 4,970 crores. Now it is 10,000 crores. And that Pradhan Mantri Gruha Solar Yojana is a very important thing. And MBAs can do wonders over here as an entrepreneur in startups. And as for the data, still we have not been able to reach the rural areas, small towns, right? Having a good service provider to set up the solar panels on the rooftop panels. It is a great idea. Wind energy, green hydrogen. In fact, we are doing a project on green hydrogen jointly with Linde and the Universal Survey. Green hydrogen is another important area. Why I'm saying this? You don't think I'm a management guy. I am just limited to Kunjan O'Donnell or Kuchel or that like that. Don't think like that. You increase your horizon, interact with engineers and technocrats, become a part with that. Okay? Semiconductors, very big push for semiconductors, electric vehicles. So these are the priority areas of that. So what I said is MBAs must look forward entrepreneurial opportunities, startups, MSMEs in priority areas and downstream products, franchises. In fact, I happened to meet one of my alumnus way back 2009, 11 or 10 was batch. He met me and says, I am a franchise of Amul. I asked him, what is your average income? Sir, my average income per month comes to about 12 to 13 lakhs. Right? He started as a dealer, then he became a district level franchise. Right? I have another alumnus who is a transport. He became a franchisee of an automobile company. And he made me say that this is what I'm doing. I'm extremely happy with that. Right? So I think MBAs must understand that you want to run a business. Don't think of running a business as an employee alone, but you can be an entrepreneur. Then I think government of India at least, the present government focus a lot on entrepreneurship. In the credit guarantee scheme, manufacturing sector. Sir, about something, I am sorry, I took 6 minutes to overstep myself. Uh, Thank you so much. Open for questions.
Yeah, thank you, Dr. Murthy garu. Such an informative session it was. Like participants, if you have any doubts, please type your questions on the chat box, please. Meanwhile, Dr. Murthy garu, I have some observations on this union budget.
Yes, sir.
Regarding this, on this platform, nearly I have observed that students from different backgrounds, like students from PGDM tourism course and PGDM with agriculture background, and students from marketing and finance background. Like that, any information relating to this segment wise means how this budget can accommodate the jobs for the respective category.
Yeah,
Like that.
yeah, thank you so much for asking this question. The two areas where you mentioned about tourism actually tremendous amount of opportunity available. I think I have covered this.
Because here we see different areas of the student, like different specialized students.
Tourism, there is a lot of focus on tourism. Actually, the government has been focusing a lot on tourism.
Yeah, yeah.
And as one of the area, they are having a lot of focus on tourism. Tourism, agriculture also. See, if you look at the agriculture side, if you limit to crop generation alone, no. But you are going into the areas of agro industries, agro-based industries. Tremendous amount of opportunities are available. Loans are available. Banks will give loans immediately. And you can get the demand for the product also. And you have a supply also, supply also. So agro-based industries at taluk levels or maybe at the district level, very good idea because you don't have to spend money, a lot of money on rental and other incomes. You identify surpluses in your areas and do the agro processing. Now, if you look at the government of India's focus on agriculture, now we want to give focus on other crops like ragi, jowar, like that, and they have much higher level of nutrition content and water consumption required, water required for irrigation is less. And if you look at the byproducts which are coming up, I think ITC itself has developed number of products out of using these grains actually. Now, ITC must be looking forward, where how can you be able to market them at the district level, state level like that. So this is extremely important that look at beyond that, then definitely you have opportunities. Agro processing is one important area for any guy with agricultural background. Don't look at paddy, rice or wheat kind of anything, but look at horticulture, for example. In this budget also, they made a very good project for horticulture. Horticulture is also another area where the government is pushing a lot. And India has done well actually. In the last 4 to 5 years, in horticulture, we have done extremely well.
Yes, sir, really. Thank you that and for that. And one more observation here, sir, that rural development, I think if you see the allocation of the rural development, they have allotted nearly 2.66 lakh crores. So I think my observation on this segment is that nearly in India, if you see the rural population, nearly 64% of the population live in rural. So by keeping in mind, I think the central government has allotted lot of money. And one more observation here is that one third of the corporate revenues are being generated from the rural economy, rural India only. I think my point here is that by allocating this much money, are they taking the views from the corporates and making the budget to facilitate them? Because major portion of the revenue is coming from rural area only, and budget also somewhat rural area allocation is more in this budget.
Yeah, I agree with you. I fully agree with your observations. See, why government is doing, let us understand that. See, the migration to urban areas, cities, creates a lot of problems in terms of infrastructure facilities, tremendous amount of present cities. So how to check the migration from rural areas to urban areas? So if you are able to provide an adequate opportunities for career in rural areas or semi-urban areas, so the migration can be checked, right? So currently, as you rightly point out, the corporates receive large amount of sales revenue from rural areas also. To take, for example, companies like Mahindra and Mahindra, ITC, Hindustan River, all of them focus a lot on rural areas because FMCG products, two-wheelers, and others, Asian paints, all of them, they have a lot of market from the rural areas. So rural development is extremely important for the government of India for two reasons. One is large amount of population still today, more than 50% in rural areas, and they want to check the migration from rural areas to urban areas. Second one is to create income in their hands so that there is enough purchasing power for them. I fully endorse you what you said.
Yeah, really, sir. When we observe this rural development itself, if you see the FMCG sector, the corporate companies like ITC, HUL, Godrej, if you see their stock list, after announcing this budget, the stock has been like this FMCG stock has been up by 2.5 to 3.5% in the market. That is one side. That is my observation. And one more thing is that I think are they like degrading the investment, the stock market investment by increasing LTCZ, long-term capital gains, or short-term STCZ, short-term capital gains? They have been increased from 10% to 12.5% and 15% to 20%. I think it shows that, and they are discouraging the stock investments which are being put by Indians like that. That is what one other observation here in this budget. And one more observation here, if you see that a new segment has been arranged like a next generation reforms. Yeah, generation reforms. I think that reforms are like they are going to assign a number for each landowner, like Aadhaar number
Yeah,
for
yeah.
every person. Like
Land
they are going
records.
to assign one land allotted number. I think they are planning. That is a good sign for the next generation reform. That is one more observation that I can see. And if you see, sir, one more observation like a customs duty on gold.
Yeah, that's yes, yes.
Customs duty on gold, it is extremely down, like 15% to 6%.
Yeah,
They
it's
made
good
it.
actually.
There are too much decrease in it, and now the people are been floating to jewelry shops. If you see Lalita Jewelry, something, some shops, and they have been floating to the jewelry shops. And one more observation here is that the moment we see that down of this customs duty, gold listing companies, the companies which are listed gold
Yeah,
activities companies
yeah,
like a PC Jewelries,
yes.
Gold, and Kalyan Jewelries and
Exactly.
Titan Jewelries. These are all companies. These are all nearly 5 to 6% up. The moment
Yeah,
we
yeah, yeah.
see that
Correct, you are right.
news in the budget,
Why? Because let me add to what you said, Dr. Krishna. If you look at the gold prices have gone skyrocketed actually, almost
yeah,
touching 70,000 rupees per 10 grams, cross 70,000. So at that rate, naturally the demand for jewelry has gone down. And jewelry is highly employment generation oriented industry, highly employee intensive industry. you deploy a large number of skilled artisans. And also, jewelry is also one of the exporting items. We import gold because we are the largest importer of gold. There are two items which are an import major. One is crude oil, the other one is gold. And we import the gold, but we do export of the jewelry. So reduction of custom duty on gold was done keeping in mind two important aspects. One is to give a push to jewelry industry, which is highly employee intensive. Second one is also enable the industry to grow and export also. So that is the reason why they have done it to the right step. But as far as the capital gains tax question is concerned, after all, we must understand the finance minister, how to manage the finances. If you are giving some concessions, somewhere you have to tax someone. But I think
Yeah.
it is from 10% to 12.5%. But basic exemption has been increased. So it may not hurt small investors, but it may hurt large investors to some extent. I agree with you.
And one question here is, sir, I think in the chat box, the participants have been typed here. And if the total liabilities of India is clear with the current reserves, what will be the position of India's survival?
See, basically, it is a very good question. We always say that the public debt as a percentage of your GDP must be maintained not crossing 20% of that. I think still we our annual public debt we create as a percentage of the GDP is less than that. And our burden on interest payments to the
Yes,
tune
sir.
of 17% only. So we are in tolerable limits, but we are not very heavy. We are not very heavy.
Sure, sir. So any other questions? Right. Somebody type like, what is angel tax?
Yeah, angel tax, for example, you create a startup. You take Zomato, ATM, even Flipkart once upon a time. But when you go for a startup, and your startup idea is good, and you are running business well, there are investors who come from foreign countries, even Indian angel investors also. They take up the risk actually. They don't charge any interest. They lend the money to you. They keep the capital with you for 5 years, 10 years, and they don't charge any interest. They take the portion of capital. So they provide risk capital. Angel investor, why they call angel? Because angel is the one who gives a boon to you. So investor who gives a boon to the promoters. So most of the startups are highly dependent on angel investors. But the problem in India was those who, okay, you have invested initially $10 million, $20 million. Then after 5 years, this startup is going for listing and you are allowed to encash that. You may be getting $40 million. Though difference of $20 million were taxed at 30%. That was phenomenal. That is very phenomenal. So
Yeah.
now this provision, abolition of tax of angel investors will increase floodgates, I tell you, floodgates for foreign investors to come and support startups. You have a good startup idea, but problem that what's happening in India is this. There are many startups which are stereotype startups. The ideas are not clear. So if they are stereotype startups, but within 1 or 2 years, they've shut down the business. So if the idea is good, very critical idea, good idea, and you are able to generate business, the capital will not be a problem. So risk capital is there. Risk capital. I
Yeah,
hope
sir, one more question here. I think it would be the last question. And before I ask, sir, could you stop that screen sharing?
yeah, sure.
Right. And one more question here is that, sir, year on year graduates are increasing, but employment is not matching with the graduates. But the government is not focusing on it.
See, and we need to understand the problem of government. Technology changing so fast. And technology is eating the jobs available. But it is also providing opportunity, employment opportunities also. So if you are tech savvy, technology savvy, then what happens is you do not feel the brunt of the unemployment. but you are not technology savvy, but you want to stereotype. Okay. Have you seen typewriter? We have seen typewriter. Have you seen stencil? We have seen stencil. Right? So technology is changing so fast. As a result, what happens is the graduates which you produce and postgraduates which you produce must have the requisite skill with the technology.
Yes, sir. Thank you. I think it is one more question they have typed here is that on the budget allocation, what was the budget they allotted for the agri startups? As we claim that India stands at 52% of the agriculture population, but what budget they allotted to the agri startups and what basis will they do? That is what the question they asked.
There is bank reconciliation. You can do reconciliation every 1 hour. Why you require bank reconciliation? Right? So question is whether our syllabus has problem with Dr. Krishna.
Yes, sir.
Most of the academicians they don't meet industry professionals. And I must admit here, I had a very great visionary vice chancellor, honorable vice chancellor, Dr. Akshay Agarwal sir. Whenever he was a member of the deans of the that university, technical university, and he went to the AMA, Ahmedabad Men's Association. I had a very good relation with them. They said, for the first time, we have met a vice chancellor coming to AMA.
Okay.
And Associated Management of Ahmedabad Management Association. Now, what happens is we need right from syllabus. I will take one more 50 seconds, 30 seconds more. I have been associated with Royal Academy of Engineering for the last 9 years. Now, why Royal Academy of Engineering collaborating with India, focusing on India? Now, they found out that 1970s and 80s, British industry lost market to America and other developed countries, Germany and others. They found that their academic education was not meeting the industry requirements. So you need to have collaborated industry. They were successful and they want to emulate it in India. So whenever we apply for a project, we must have industry partner. Compulsory and a good industry partner, not for namesake. So we had Larsen to Grow, we have NASCOM, now we have Linde. That is how it happened. So it is important that we must work with industry. We must understand what is going on in trends in industry. Then our education will be and employability can be increased. Or you can be entrepreneur. Why you should be employed? Go for employment. You are meant to be a business leader. You can be starting a startup for business.
Yes, sir. Thank you, Moti sir. That would be the last question. I think no more questions they typed in the chat box. We'll see. Thank you so much. Now we have come to a conclusion, and before we conclude, I think I would like to take the opportunity to vote of thank. I would like to take the opportunity to thank Dr. PJK Murthy, the speaker of this today's session. And I also feel pleasure to thank Mr. Sudhir Sharma, the president of AIMS, and all the board members and secretary of AIMS for bringing this wonderful session. And I also take the opportunity to thank the ICBM School of Business Excellence for coordinating with the AIMS and arranging these sessions. And I also take the opportunity to thank Perul University, Gujarat, the management of that university for collaborating with the AIMS and bringing this wonderful session. And at last, but not the least, I would like to thank participants. Without them, this program wouldn't be succeeded. I think thank you, one and all, and lovely students. I think they have participated in this session nearly 1 hour. And I think we have successfully completed this session. Thank you, one and all. Jai Hind. Thank you, Murthy gar. Thank you, Murthy gar.